Now with Laura. You know the old saying, the best laid plans of mice and men go awry? Yeah, that was me last week. So I was so excited about being here, being in your living rooms, in your offices, in your homes, talking with you. And I was very excited because I wanted to talk about the accomplishments of women, certain women. We had just heard of the passing of Winnie. Do you know that there are St. Lucians who did not know who Winnie Mandela was? I mean, seriously, I'm still flummoxed. But anyway, this was not to be because we didn't have a show last week. So I was sufficiently impressed with the show that I was going to have last week that I thought I'm not going to prepare another show for this week. I'm just going to use last week's show for this week. Well, not to be. Today, I had the pleasure, the misfortune, the opportunity. I'm not sure what it is. I'm just so in flux with my emotions on my visit today. And you might be wondering, what are you talking about? I visited the supposed St. Jude Hospital. You know, the one that burned down, not the hospitadium, the real St. Jude, or the purported real St. Jude. You know, and sometimes it's ironic how things happen. St. Jude is supposed to be the saint for lost causes and hopelessness and that kind of thing. And it's apt, the name of the hospital, St. Jude, because really it's a hopeless cause. I am in such flux. My emotions are up in the air as it pertains to St. I just cannot understand what the heck is going on down there. What exactly is going on down there? So anyway, we went in there. I went in there, and everything that was said to us is true, and then some, you know, and then some. During the budget debate, I mean, people were just flinging St. Jude all over the place like it was some frisbee or something, like, you know, it's something of no importance. Something so important as a hospital that not only services the people of Vieux Fort, as some of us would like to lump it, but it services the South. It services the international community, because right next door to St. Jude Hospital, right in the vicinity of St. Jude Hospital, is our international airport. And heaven forbid anything. And every time I say that, people say I am a purveyor of bad news, doom and gloom. But you know what? It's the reality. Something really monstrous could happen at the airport, and we would need access to a hospital. Not a hospitadium, a hospital. So anyway, I went in there, and let me just tell you, it was a coven, a bat coven, a bat cave. Can you hear it? Yeah, that's what it was like in there. The bats had more of a time in there than I think the people of St. Lucia are ever going to have in there, because the place is overrun with bats. So no, you cannot just go across to Rosary, to Chemical, and get a bunch of bleach and clean it up and say, boom, voila, we have a hospital. This hospital needs more work, I think, in my limited capacity. I think it needs more work than has been done in it. It's ridiculous. So it begs the question, when those in authority were visiting the hospital 3 years ago, and were saying to us, well, 5 years ago, because 2 years has passed, almost 2 years has passed since the last election. About 5 years ago, when they started telling us, this is the last year that the patients and the doctors and the nurses of St. Jude are going to be housed in the hospitadium, they were lying. Literally, don't take my word for it. Let's have a look. So here we're having a look at what is supposed to be the emergency entry of the hospital. This awkward kind of thingamajig, I'm not even sure how to describe it, is what is supposed to be the emergency entry. Look at the doorway. I mean, look at the doorway. First of all, it's awkward to even get to. Then look at the doorway. This is where the ambulance is supposed to be coming in and bringing in those persons who are deathly ill, perhaps fatally. This is where they're supposed to, this is the doorway. This makes no sense to me. This makes no sense to me. So you're coming in with a gurney, perhaps for personnel coming through that door. And might I add, the entryway is not that wide. It's the plywood that you're seeing that's that wide. So think about it. This is what they're not telling us when they're telling us, oh, the hospital is in a sorry state. Oh, the hospital is not that bad. This is what we're looking. I'm giving you some sort of example of what this is inside of the hospital. This is what they're telling us is a year away from being done. This is what they're telling us 5 years ago that, oh, we're almost done. We're almost there. This is the sorry state. This is it. And I'm standing there to show you the height, the width of the hallways, the height of the ceiling. This is what we're looking at. And they told us in 2013. This is when the first lie started. We're almost there. This is the last time. It was September. Look, I am not 6 feet tall. Far from it. Look at the height differential there. From my head to the top. So we now have to think about it. We have to think about it. We have to ask ourselves, do we just absorb everything that we're told? Do we just believe everything that we're told? You know, look, 2013, we were first told in September of 2013 that this would be the last Christmas that we would be spending at the hospitalium. We're in 2018. And in 2013, the works had not even gotten that far. But we were told in 2013, that was the first time we heard, that we are going to be out of the hospitalium and into this structure. I think we've seen enough. You know, when I listen to the Prime Minister in the budget presentation, and he's talked about the number of commissions, of inquiries, and number of investigations that were going to be conducted, I, for one, was like, what again? We just spent $1 million trying to figure out St. Jude, and we still have no answers. We're told that the commission is out, that the results are out. We don't know what the decision is. You know, like the what people say, we just chichivain. We don't know whether we're going to demolish. We don't know whether we're rebuilding. We don't know if we're going to be. And by the way, this hospital, this rebuilding, this renovation was only supposed to cost us $23 million. Only supposed to cost us $23 million. It has cost us in excess of $125 million. And I don't see for what. I don't see the reason. I don't see where $125 million went. Am I to think that in that $125 million is all of the cost for all of the equipment that is sitting somewhere in Florida or in Canada or wherever that we haven't seen, that the manufacturers and the suppliers are ready to come in and put in, but we don't have a building for them to put the equipment in. So back to the Prime Minister. So when I heard the Prime Minister say about all the investigations, I said, what? Yet again, I'm not in for it. I'm not having any of it. But maybe we should. If only to pinpoint who were the persons responsible, who were the persons accountable. And I, for one, I am going to hold this government accountable. I'm going to hold them responsible. And why you may think they're only there for 2 years and they haven't built anything, whatever you saw there was done by previous administrations. I am going to hold them accountable because it is high time somebody is held responsible and accountable for this travesty. What is going on at St. Jude, at the hospitalium, with the hospital, is a travesty. It is criminal. It is egregious. It is abominable. Words could not begin to even scratch the surface of what is being done to the people of St. Lucia, not just the south of the island, to the people of St. Lucia. 2 years after St. Jude burnt down, and not burnt down, it's just one portion. And this picture in particular really threw me off, because this is showing you how wide a hallway is, and you're coming down, and where you're supposed to be turning with a gurney is so narrow, and so cueste is the word that I'm looking for. I can't find the English word. It's cueste. You cannot turn. It's sharp edges where you're supposed to have round edges to facilitate the movement of a gurney. It's ridiculous. But anyway, the reason I'm going to hold this government responsible and accountable is because no matter what we say, their investigations are going to be taking place. And when the investigations are concluded, I want for St. Lucians to ask vociferously the results, and to have those persons who have committed such a travesty, I want them held accountable. Somebody has got to pay. Remember that saying some years ago? Somebody's got to pay? Yeah, somebody has got to pay. It is ridiculous what's happening down there. $125 million. No equipment is in there. Not even light fixtures are in there. Plenty walls have been broken down. Plenty walls have been broken down, and I can see plenty walls needing to be broken down because it just doesn't make sense. I call it the hospital of Ticona. Everywhere you go is a little corner, a little piece there, a little piece there. I saw more spaces for showers than I saw rooms for patients. Standalone showers, standalone rooms where their showers are supposed to be. And I'm asking the question, why would there be a standalone shower when every room has a shower? I'm not sure. That's the response that I got. I'm not sure. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe it's for staff, you know, after your shift, you want to take a shower, you want to change in the middle of a ward, mind you? That makes no sense. So where is the locker room for the nurses and the doctors so that they can go in and change and shower and go out there, you know? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. The only creatures that find this structure, this building, this excuse for a hospital habitable are the bats. And don't get me started on the flooring. It is ridiculous. It's almost as if the little invention called a level, these contractors didn't know that. Floors sloping. I mean, floors have humps in the middle. Really. But yet still, from 2013, we were told this is the last Christmas that we're spending at the hospitalium. You know, a lie is meant to confuse people. It's meant to confuffle you. It's meant to give you a view of something that does not exist. And so, if the ministers and the technocrats and all of them were visiting the hospital like they said that they were every year, every few months. They would said they were visiting. If they were really visiting and they were seeing what I was seeing, then they lied to us. They came out on television and they looked straight at those camera lenses and lied to us, because there's absolutely no way what I saw today in 2018, if somebody were to come to me today and said to me today that this edifice would be habitable 1 year from now, I would look at them and say, why are you lying to me? So in 2013, when we were told 4 months to go in a year that this is the last Christmas that we will be spending in that place, yeah, that was a lie. That was a lie. And they were so happy with what they saw, you know, that they were so happy with what they saw. Work was progressing so beautifully. Really? The only place, the only structure in this entire hospital that made any sense to me was the very first structure that was built. The wing that was burnt down and rebuilt, that made sense to me. You saw some thought process went into that. When you walk through, you see, okay, this is where this is going, this is where this is going. Okay, I understand why there's this a shaft there, why there's this hallway there. You understood. There's a flow, there's a rhyme and a rhythm to it. Everything else almost seemed like, oh, I want an office, put it there. I want this, put it there. I want that, put it there. And by the way, I do not understand the need for all this privacy, all of this structure, this brick and mortar, tiny spaces, tiny spaces. What for? What for? I went through a hallway that was so narrow that if I were pushing a wheelchair, I pushed it in. If somebody were coming out and I had to pull, I couldn't turn the wheelchair. I had to back it up. Back it up in reverse, yes. Because the hallway was so small. So when people are saying the hallways are not, yes, not all of the hallways are small, but some of those hallways where patients have to access, way too small. And even with the emergency area, I'm asking myself, okay, there's a place for the ambulance to come in, and then there's this other place for foot traffic and for not one wheelchair ramp. It's a hospital. If you expect anywhere to have a wheelchair ramp, that would be it. But anyway, enough about this. I'm going to dedicate an entire 90 minutes to St. Jude Hospital, because honestly, it is a farce what is going on there. And even when the media comes in and tells us this is what's happening, and they're not telling us the full picture, it is sorrier. It is sorrier than you could ever possibly think. When all of these ministers are coming to us and saying, okay, we have this, we did this commission, and da-da-da-da-da, they're not telling us the full story. And I'm convinced it's because they're protecting each other. Nobody can convince me otherwise. It really is abominable what's going on down there. And I would have wished that every St. Lucian would be able to go through there. So when my district rep says go down to Chemical and buy some bleach and clean up the place, I'm sorry, Mr. Parliamentary Rep. What ails St. Jude? Bleach ain't gonna fix it. It ain't gonna fix it. I'm almost convinced, I am almost convinced that it would cost us less money to break down the hospital and to rebuild it. Because the amount of work that I saw that needed to go in there, and if we say it's going to take us another 2 years, as our Prime Minister has said, another 2 years, I couldn't see rebuilding a new hospital in today's standards taking more time than that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. How could anybody, any contractor, any engineer in their right mind think that in 1945 a structure was built and you're going to use the same blueprint, the same footprint in 2011, in 2013, much less 2018? Enough said. We're due for a break. When we come back, my guests. Stay tuned. What's happening now with Laura. With me today, I have some special guests. I have some special, and no, we're not going to be continuing on the hospitadium situation. We are going to take a break from that. And as I promised in the first segment, I will be dedicating an entire 90 minutes to this hospitadium. There's another name that comes to mind, but we'll leave that for another show. Tonight, in this segment, we're going to be talking about a woman's songbook. What is that? Well, it's the latest play out. And with me tonight are the producer and the marketing person. I completely spazzed there for a moment. I have with me the producer and the marketing person behind A Woman's Songbook. Welcome, guys.
Thank
With
you.
me is Mr. Adrian Auger, the producer, and Suzette
Yes.
Mulcair?
Merrill.
Marrow.
Yes, Merrill.
I'm getting
Neil.
old.
No,
I'm
that's
getting
okay.
old.
It's all
Dr.
right.
Merrill, actually,
Oh,
from Beaufort.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, guys. Tell us a little bit about this songbook, A Woman's Songbook. That sounds very interesting.
I think Adrian should go first.
Mr. Producer?
Yes, Mr. Producer.
Yes. I'm so sorry we're not continuing to talk about the hospital. I had all sorts of
Of course. I mean, I give you
punchlines
I give you
ready,
5 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, let's go.
Well, the Woman's Songbook did not start at St. Jude's. Let me just start with it. It started off in the mind of Claudia Edwards, who came to me and said she wanted to do this show. And didn't have it all quite worked out. But then as we went through our paces and tried to come up with a product that would be interesting and which would sell and which would obviously feature Claudia's talents as well, we broadened the scope of the project quite a bit. And when I was searching for a name that was more representational of where we were going, I came up with the name of Woman's Songbook. It is the music of 5 iconic women, and I was trying to get a title that would speak to all of their styles and tell the story of what it is to be a woman in show business, but in any business, in the business of life really, which is where the story has gone, because it has evolved over time. And I thought, yeah, A Woman's Songbook is pretty accurate. It's telling a story about what it is to be a contemporary Caribbean woman, and it's doing it through song and through script and image. And I think it's a pretty accurate description of what we've ended up with. Not where we started, but life is like that, art is like that. And we've remained open enough to evolve, which is a great place to be.
So your tag is a journey of love, pain, and strength, and you're following the lives and the journey of 4 women.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Okay, so the play is set in a bar. It's 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and these 4 women have arrived there quite by coincidence. Well, one is the bar keeper, and another one is waiting for her married boyfriend, not married to her.
So she's the Jabal.
She's the Jabal. Yeah. the Jabal.
The Jabal.
Yeah. She's a church girl.
Ooh,
she's
that's
respectable. Yeah,
That's
there you
a
go.
weird dichotomy right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, but maybe not so strange.
Maybe not so
Maybe
strange.
not so unusual. And that's part of the exploration that we find ourselves in these dichotomous positions, these contradictions of life all the time. And we're always trying to resolve some conflict inside of ourselves, you know, long hair, short hair. And so that's one. The other one is an upmarket call girl, but she has a backstory. She was abused as a child. Another one is sorting out her relationship with herself and her father because he sent for her to go to College of Brooklyn, and she went, got in, was doing well, and then went home to be with her boyfriend and never went back.
Oh.
Um,
And that we've seen that happen.
yeah, we've seen that happen
We've
as
seen
well.
that
These are
happen.
all real stories, actually.
Yeah.
They're not real. They're fictitious characters. But
Yes.
but the stories are actually quite real. And who am I missing? And Rhonda,
And Rhonda.
who's played by. Well, we'll go into the actresses afterwards. And Rhonda is the fourth woman, and she started life rather difficultly when her mother left and went off to work in another country.
So she
In
was
this
a barrel
case,
baby.
She was a barrel. She was not even a barrel baby because they left her with an aunt who was poor as a Catholic church mouse. That's the line from the play. I mean, there's church mouse poor, and then there's
the Catholic church mouse.
poor, church mouse poor, which is apparently even worse.
Whoa.
And she says, cricks and cheese was a luxury.
Wow.
So that's pretty poor. And anyway, she gets out of that, and she has a up and down sort of life experience that ends her up in a bar at 2:00 on a Saturday morning, after she's closed down her little craft store because she works in the marina. And the name of the bar is the Bombshell Bar, so that gives you an idea of what to expect. And it's bombshell, 2 words, not one. So these 4 women get together quite unexpectedly, and they're telling their stories reluctantly at first to each other, and then realizing that even if they're diametrically opposed in so many ways, that they this is about survival. This is about compromise.
And you have this, you find a lot of this, like you find like there are a lot of people walking about who seem so well put together, and they seem so self-assured.
Yes.
But what's going on in their minds and in their backstories, it's amazing if you were to just sit with them and have a conversation and realize, oh, well, I'm thinking that I'm down on my luck, and you don't have it all put together as much as I
so
thought.
true.
And so when your parents say to you, don't look at people and envy what they have or what they seem to have, it makes absolute
Right.
sense.
Very true statement.
Wow.
The interesting thing is that it's very real, it's very down to earth, and yet we've managed to tie it into the music of these 5 iconic singers, spanning 70 years, which also tells a story of how universal music is, and how all of us find messages which resonate with us depending on where we are.
So it's a musical.
It's musical theater. It's musical theater. It's a strange combination we've not worked on this in this particular format before. It's a strange combination of theater, music, and image. And while Drinia, the director, and myself have worked on other productions that have used those media, those genres, never quite as intimately, and creating a sort of seamless drama by doing flashbacks and flash forwards and fantasies even inside of the drama has proven to be quite a challenge. So I hope it works, but it certainly is not boring.
Wow. So what kind of music can we expect to hear coming out of that production?
You want to go ahead?
Yes. Well, of course, as Adrian said, we are talking about iconic stars. So we're talking about persons in the name of Amy Winehouse, Tina Turner, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, and Billie Holiday.
Oh, those are big
So they're
shoes to fill.
powerful. Yes, but I have to assure you that the cast will do justice to those songs. They, in their right talents and skills, can execute, and they do have the skills to do so. They've been working really extremely hard to get it right, especially when, of course, you have that stature of these iconic women.
Yeah,
you have to deliver
big shoes
the
to
songs, especially when you're relating stories and circumstances that to some extent mirror the trials and tribulations of these same women. And to me, it all boils down to show that life is cyclical, it's actually we're going through a circle. There's no situation that these women face that women of today are not facing. The only difference, in my mind, is that the language in which you may express how you're going about it would be different. The slang, the jargon, because every generation creates its own. But it will be really interesting for people to see themselves in those characters.
That's quite interesting.
Yes. And the girls have taken on the personas. Some may believe that they're actually depicting or are the characters. I hope nobody is watching. but but you could see that they appreciate them. They appreciate them as women. And young women at that, because the age range is between 23 and 35. Yes. So
Of the
y-
characters.
Of the
Of the
characters.
characters, okay.
And to me, in my thought, having been privy to the rehearsals and so on and the scripting, a lot of young women today, modern, go through a lot of issues. And sometimes you may feel that you grow through the years and these things then materialize. But when you have one of the characters, did you say that? But I don't know if I should say it.
Go ahead.
Murdering a husband, and being young at that. I mean, if you're just 23 to 35, I mean, it is relatable to a lot of circumstances having been happening right now. Maybe more so because you have social media presenting you with all of those facts. But it is overwhelming to know that a woman's life, and I think it goes beyond a woman, but a woman's life could be so complicated. At the same time, they don't see themselves as victims. They acknowledge that this is what it is. They may quarrel and battle with one another, as women normally do, but at the end of it all, they will pick themselves up, they will get it together, and they will survive. So the whole tagline also is that at the end of it all, these women are not battered. They are survivors. They will overcome their circumstances, and they will continue on to thrive in the environment, in the
Awesome.
community.
I think that's a nice, a good, a comprehensive message, Sister, because a lot of the times you have a lot of young girls who are so conflicted, and they just don't know where would it end and that kind of thing. And I think in St. Lucia, it's funny, it's ironic though that more men, I think the statistics bear that out in St. Lucia, commit suicide, but it also shows the resilience of women,
Yes.
that you could be
Yes.
going through all of these things, but you could still see the silver lining
Yes.
at the end of it all, and you could still see that light at the end of the tunnel and say, okay, it's not going to consume me. I'm going to
Exactly.
overcome. I'm going to rise above.
Yes, exactly.
When is this going to be put together? When is it? The first airing is going to be.
Okay, the first will be on the 13th of April, which is Friday coming, at Sandals Grand Palladium. It will be within... Oh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But it will be at 8 p.m. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Doors open at 8 p.m. There will be a cocktail reception, so that will include your wines and your drinks and your eats. And then that you lead into the production, which is approximately 90 minutes. And then you have your meet and greet at the end. So you get the privilege and the opportunity to talk with the cast, exchange words, give your thoughts, and intermingle at that time. So
it's
that'll be
it's
Friday at Sandals Grand at the Palladium.
It's just a gala event.
It's a gala event, yes it is.
So you can't come in your
No.
spaghetti straps and
No,
your
no,
jeans
no.
hanging down your butt
No.
and that kind of thing. You have
If-
to really dress up for
If
that.
anybody knows
unless you're on
Adrian,
stage.
yes, well there you go. If anybody knows Adrian, he will go all out to create that ambience. I mean, using the backdrop of the iconic stars, I mean, you could imagine what he's going to do with the space. In a minimalistic way, but just to support the whole concept and theme of the production. Yes.
Wonderful. And is this just the one airing that we're going to
No,
have?
so there will be a replay on the Saturday, and this does not involve the cocktail, but if you just want to see the production, Saturday is the day for you, and then you also have the opportunity to meet and greet at the end.
Okay.
As
And it's
well.
at the same location.
It's at the same location. The show time is the same, 8 p.m., and the cost is $100 for the Saturday and $200 for the Friday.
For the Friday.
Yes, 200 EC.
Okay. So Friday is the grand gala event.
Yes.
And then you have a second showing
Yes,
on
second.
Saturday, and it's $200 and $100
Yes.
respectively.
Correct.
And what time does the Saturday show start?
The same time, show time, the same for
8
both
o'clock?
days, 8 p.m.
Okay. What else can we expect, Adrian, from?
I think for men in particular, they should be aware that they too can enjoy this, that it's not male bashing. And in fact, it's a very hard, realistic look at how women manage relationships as well, which was very presumptuous for me as a script writer to delve into. And I had to be checking all the time just that my dialogue, that my concept, that my presumptions were accurate. And so I had a little focus group of ladies who I sat down and said, okay, would a woman say this? Would she feel this? Would she think this? Because, you know, we can be very presumptuous with our fast little selves, thinking that we know how this amazing thing works called a woman, and we really don't know a damn thing about it, to tell you the truth. Yeah, some of us imagine we know a little bit more than others. So you can expect to be entertained. The music is tremendous.
And it's live music.
And it's live music,
Oh,
live
so none of
band.
this canned stuff.
No, live band. We have 5 wonderful musicians, 4 of them from Naked Chords, and which is a great name, I think, especially for, you know, Naked Chords and a
Naked
woman's
Chords.
songbook.
Yes. Yes.
And our musical director is Kenson Hippolyte, who's been wonderful in being the bridge between, say, myself as producer and the director and the musicians. And the music has taken on a whole other dimension that we did not really anticipate, because originally we thought it would be a performance of a number of songs, but the music has almost become, well, it's a complement, it's a duality. I was going to say second nature, but that's not true. It's become a real merger of the music and the script and the drama and the characterization, and then we segue into the songs and come back into reality. And then we have also these flashbacks on the screen, so the most intimate details of the women's experience is almost done like a confessional, because there are some things that 4 women on a rainy Saturday night in a bar are not going to tell each other, but the audience needs to know. So that's done by way of confession, so to speak, on a screen. So we take you into that other dimension.
Right.
The songs are kind of half performed, half fantasy, in the sense that if they could sing and if they could be those people, that is probably the song that they would sing to tell that message. And so there's a transition between the 4 women who are in the drama, who are telling their stories to each other and sharing their angst and their anger in some cases. And then all of a sudden they're performing these songs, and you will ask yourself how the two merge together. And in a sense, the success of the production will be judged by that. And we're just as excited to see how well it works out. But it's a challenge. It's quite a challenge, and we need to be honest about that. But it's so far, it's really, really working.
One of the things that really got to me when you said about men could learn from this, because I think a lot of the times when we deal with women's issues or when we deal with men issues, we deal with them in a box, in a vacuum, separate and apart, almost as if we live in different realms.
Exactly.
Women are from
Women,
Venus.
yes, type of thing.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily include. So I'm hoping it's not going to be a hen house. You know?
No, I don't think.
not
I don't
at
think
all.
so.
Not at all.
Certainly, the people that I've spoken with are coming. A lot of them are coming.
Are
as
tickets
couples.
being sold in advance, or
Oh yeah, yes.
and that has been going well?
That
Very
has
well,
been very,
very
very,
well.
very well. There's this. The buzz is becoming louder. And of course, if persons need tickets, they can get it at the sale, Castries and the Baywalk branch. They
And at
can
Sandals now?
at Sandals now.
Front
We've made
desk.
that possible at the front desk. You could also get tickets from myself at the number 7225033, and also with Claudia Edwards, she at a number 7176000.
And I
So
have,
pe-
and I have
also-
some. I'm on my
and
third, I'm on my
also-
third batch.
Yes.
Wow, Mr. Salesman.
Yes.
But for people like me who come from the South, we have to come up north to buy our tickets.
Well, actually, there is a means by which you can secure your tickets. There is a bank account number which I can probably provide you with to post for your viewers, which is a Bank of St. Lucia account number. Persons can deposit them funds there. We can provide the number of the ticket that they will be issued, and they can collect that upon entry when entering.
Now
the
that's
bank.
a long, convoluted process. I tend to find people don't like things that are not ABC simple.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, you can call me.
But then you can call.
Just call me.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
I'll
you can
put them
always
in a-
you can always purchase your
You
ticket
can
when you get
purchase
there.
at
At
the
the door.
door.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We will not be turning people
No,
away.
no,
Okay.
no. We do
Right.
have an outlet that will allow persons
Allow
to
for persons
purchase,
to purchase
yes,
at
the
the door.
tickets.
Yeah. I just find that a lot of the times, and I'm going to play that card, Adrian.
Yes.
Yes, I am. When things happen, we
Yes.
tend to forget the people of the South, almost
Yes.
like the hospitalium. You know, we've just forgotten us, and we're just there.
Well, the show can't travel, Laura. Why don't you bring us to the South? How about that?
Okay.
And that
Yes,
just shut me up
I-
right there.
We would be happy.
Knowing
we would
full,
be happy
knowing
to
full
come
well,
to
we
the
do not
South.
have. I mean,
We
it's
don't
good.
have a venue.
No.
We make venues. That's
Yes,
what we
we
do.
create
So
a
that's not a
venue.
problem.
Okay, well,
we make venues. We
well,
have staging. We have lighting.
Yes.
Thanks to Landmark Events.
plug.
Actually,
Yeah.
this
we
is
make venues. That is not a problem. We
Yes.
would love to come to the South with the
Yes.
show. I think that's a great idea. I want to thank you for that.
There you
And I
go.
will leave yourself and Suzette to work out the details. We have to talk about our charity.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that was
Which
just
is
about to
very
ask,
important.
what
yes.
is the proceeds going to?
Yes, well, with the concept being initiated by Claudia Edward, she's also the founder of the Edward for Education Charity Foundation. And through this foundation, she has taken on community projects through public schools. She has done 3 thus far. This is the 4th one. And it has to do with a theater arts room for the Cicero Secondary School, which has to be completed. So the part proceeds of this production goes towards the completion of that project.
Okay.
So it's even more important now, besides knowing that you come into a fabulous, amazing, original scripted event, you will be helping our education system, our young persons to evolve and develop their artistic abilities and so on by providing them a facility that probably they would not have within a public school environment.
Great. I'm glad that you have this aspect of it, because one of the things that having discussions with Jenny in the past, when she's had her productions put on previously, she would talk about the attendance. Attendance to plays and of that nature have always been poor in St. Lucia. We don't seem to appreciate the arts. So I'm hoping that because persons would now know that there is an altruistic gesture at the end of this whole production, that persons would come out and really be in support. What do you think about our appreciation for the arts in St. Lucia?
Well, the typical thing is to say it's terrible and it's hard and it's poor and it's that. I think that theater is hard everywhere. Our problem is that we have a very small population. And so 1% of the population in New York or London or Paris is a lot of people, and 1% of the population here is not a lot of people. So you're always going to have that. And raising money to do theater is expensive, it's difficult, and raising money to do marketing for theater is very difficult. So we tend to get the damn thing produced, and then everybody's too tired and worn out and broke to go do the marketing as well. Fortunately, we've got Suzette who's come on board and has been an exceptional addition to the team, and we're very grateful to her. But a lot of the time, you just don't have the energy. That being said, I don't think we're doing a very good job of building an appreciation for the arts in the country right now. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy about Osa Lucia being an artistic, creative, and cultural, and it's not. It's not. It's not for want
It's a
of
card that we love to
support.
play because it makes us feel
Exactly,
good.
it sounds good. But it is not because we have invested in the process. It's because a certain few idiots keep doing this over and over again because they love it and it feels good and they want more of it and they know and understand the need for it in the society.
But Adrian, as a business person, as an economist, why do something that has no end reward? It has no trickle down effect. It has no the bottom line. You know what I mean? You're gonna invest all of this. By the way, you have sponsors for this.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
do.
do.
You got
We
some
need to.
sponsors.
Yes, we do have some
Mention
sponsors.
Heineken
We can,
Light
yes, definitely.
Chennai Wines
Chennai
by
Wines, but we also have
Sunshine
other
Distillers.
partners. We have Landmark Events. We have Sandals Grand, which has been very generous, of course, with this space and other services. We have the Star Publishing. We have the Wave. We have Digicel and Media Solutions, which is visitor channel. So these are all our
Because I'm
partners.
thinking as a business person, if you were to come to me with this idea, fantastic. I love the arts, I love plays, you know, and all of that, and it includes music, and it's great, fine. But what's in it for me?
The thing about it is that
As
there you go
producer,
again.
as what? As
As
what's
pro-
it for you
As a sponsor, you're coming to me for a sponsorship,
Yes.
and I'm thinking, what's in it for me as a potential sponsor?
Well, again, we have created an offering to our corporate citizenship. We have an offer of if you purchase 5 tickets or more, we give a discount because you are then contributing to something worthwhile, community building. So this is our offering. You will be able to distribute to your membership the opportunity for them to enjoy the production, but at the same time, you know that the social responsibility occurring through this production, and you are building a school. We need that now. Our education system is deplorable, and one project at a time, I'm sure it can happen. I mean, you can never turn down the advancement and growth of your children. We say the quote all the time, but we have to exercise it through demonstrating it. Yes.
What we've said to the corporate entities that we've approached is, look, we have quality entertainment. You can use this to do something for your staff. You can use this to do something for your best salespeople
Yes.
or your top clients, or to reward your faithful suppliers, any of those things. So we're giving you an opportunity to say thank you, I love you, whatever, to somebody. So you don't have to worry about that. Just buy the damn ticket, give it to them, and everybody lives happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? So there is that, because there's sometimes businesses are looking for unique and different ways to
Yes,
to
to
incentivize their
incentivize,
their stakeholders. So that's one way to do it. What does it offer? I think at the bottom line, it's got to be good entertainment. That's the first thing that it has to be. Now, why do we do it? It's like carnival. There is a joy, there is a fulfillment, it is who we are. We are performers, we are producers, we are creators. You don't wake up one day and ask yourself, why do I want to paint? You're just happy that you do, and you're happy if you can do it, and you're going to do it whether people buy the paintings or not, because that's who you are, and you have something to express, and you'd like to get better and better and better at it. Most of us who collaborate in the arts, that is what drives us. It's never going to be the bottom line, not in this 2x4 island. It's going to be about the sheer satisfaction of doing something well,
Right.
and discovering in the process who you are and what you are and what you have to give. And that is the same energy that you pull into your marriage or into your job, your career, your family, your kids, your life. And that's what I would like people to understand, that the process of creativity is for you.
Yes.
It's for you. It's learning how to be generous. It's learning how to be on a stage and be completely vulnerable. You can carry that vulnerability into anything. You can stand up in the Senate and you can speak honestly about how you feel. You can talk to your spouse and say, honey, I really don't like that. Can we talk about it, please? Because you learn to drop the facades. You learn to be vulnerable. You learn to be honest.
You know, you
and
said
we could
this.
use some honesty in this hospital of hospitalians.
Hospitalian.
And, you know,
No,
and so that-
you say this, and it just dawned on me that we're a nation of people who like to talk.
pretentiously, mostly.
Yes, but except when it's necessary.
Yes.
For instance, you said you could talk to your husband or your spouse and say, "Honey, don't like to da-da-da-da, and let's talk about." Realistically, I
Oh, people don't do that?
no.
Yeah. So this country needs a whole heap of therapy.
Everyday people don't do that. Like I mean, I come across a lot of people. They don't even know how to a simple touch, a hug, and I love you. You know, and then when you hear I love you, it's like,
What does he want?
Yes.
you know, the pressure. It's like, wow, what does that mean?
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
Do I
the
have to
words
say
take on
back?
new life. It takes on new meaning. It takes on a whole other realm of possibilities. You're, whoa. Waiting for the other shoe to drop,
yes.
so to speak. But we do for a break. When we come back, we'll talk delve a little bit into that. But specifically, I want to talk about the cast. We talked about Claudia Edwards, but we haven't spoken about
About
who the
other
other
young
ladies
ladies
are.
are.
So we'll talk about that when we get back. Stay tuned and see you at the other side of the break. We're back and thank you for staying tuned. And before we went on break, we were talking a little bit about the things that people don't say, the things that people talk about, the things, just different things. And I was explaining at least I was getting to that point at the break. I was telling Adrian, lots of things that we talk about. We say things, we talk a lot of things, but we skirt the issues. We skirt around issues. So, for instance, we want to come out and say, "I love you," you know, and when you hear it, it's crazy. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember the first time as a teenager, I remember my dad saying, "I love you." I cried.
It could be really
I cried
something.
like a baby. I'm like, because sometimes you forget. It's there. You know the things people, the parents do for their children. It's there. It's in the everyday things. But there's something to be said about saying and not being left to
To
fill in the
assume,
blank.
to
Yes,
assume,
to
yeah.
assume, because
Yeah.
you just never know. And
Well, you
sometimes
see, I
just
think
those little
the-
words, those little, it means so much.
But the show is a little bit about that. It's about
Yes.
the walls that we build and the facades that we erect to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Sophia, for example, who has, I'm not going to give all the details, but who has a sordid backstory, is how we put it in the write-up, has invented a whole persona for herself as a means of protection. It's a very adamant, forthright, aggressive sort of persona, because she's protecting the little child inside of her who had this incident at 17. But what I want to ask you is whether or not this business of not being so emotionally vulnerable is likely to be changing with younger generations. I know older folks would not have necessarily grown up with all of this emotional nakedness. I would like to think that our younger people are far more honest with each other.
But
Do you think that's true?
I think it has gone. It's two
The other
ends of
way?
the spectrum. I think now it's too amorous. It's almost as if there's no part of you that belongs to just you. You know what I mean? And everybody needs to have that little bit of,
Yes.
because it gives you this sense of protection of yourself. You're protecting yourself against the big bad
The
world,
big
because
bad.
let's face it, the world is big and bad and it's ugly. But I find a lot of kids now, it's like almost as if they're looking for something and they want to grab on and they want to hold on and they want to, so they give it all, and then
Maybe
they fall.
too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah,
Too
bef-
much.
yeah, too much too
Yeah,
soon.
Too much too soon, and then they fall, and then it's like there's nothing to protect you, and you almost not knowing what to do, and so you go from being overly amorous and
Yes.
open to
Very
closed
timid,
in
quite
and not
closed
knowing
in,
what
I
yes.
think
how to deal with
a
it.
lot of young people are dealing with a lot of things before
Their
before
time,
they're ready.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's this, well, I mean, I don't know, I was very happy for my childhood to last as long as possible, so that by the time I realized what was going on in the real world, I said, oh, is that what that's about? Okay, I can deal with
I
that
think
now.
I experienced the
And I
same
mean, I'm not
thing.
just talking about sex and stuff like that. I'm
Yes.
talking about, you know, this eye-opening process that is a slow, beautiful, gentle kind of process. As you become ready for the world, you see it, and I think it's a real loss. This loss of innocence that our whole society has been through.
And it
I
can
think
be a vicious cycle.
it's cruel.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
cruel for
absolutely.
kids. Kids
Absolutely.
see and know and hear
Absolutely.
everything, and they're not protected from our obscenity, and our obscenity meaning the real world, the older world. You know, that's a whole other story.
I remember when my nephew was little, he's still young, I mean, he's very young, but little. And I used to tell him I love you and kisses and hugs. And my brother would be like, oh, you're sissifying the boy. And I'm like, no, I want him to know what it's like to love and to receive
Yes.
love and to give love, because when he grows up, these are tools that he will need. So when he sees another boy ill-treating a girl, he'll be able to say, no, this is not the way. He will know from very young
That there's
how
something else.
There's
yes,
something else,
yes,
There's another way.
that is it.
That's right.
And the
Exactly.
same with my niece.
Yes.
So you know love. You're not expecting somebody to come and give it to you. You're not thirsty for it.
Yes.
You're not gravitating to the
Yes.
first person who says, I love you, because you know what it is. You relate to it and you can give off of it. You feed off of it, you can give it, and you can help somebody learn what it is and
To be loved and
Yes.
And that's
loved.
Lucy's story.
That's Lucy's story.
In the play.
Yes.
That's Lucy's
And
story.
Lucy is
she gave up her
Lucy's
own
story.
opportunity at higher education to go home back to her boyfriend who claimed to love her and claimed to need her, and then of course was gone.
Something happened.
So,
The only way to know
yeah.
is if you're
if
there.
you get there, all right. But tell us about as we're speaking about this, tell us about the actresses, the ladies who are going to be. Who are they? I mean, except for Claudia Edward, I don't think. Maybe
You know.
Deanna Phillip. I think Deanna is now
Diana is
is
a
up and coming.
teacher. Yeah, she's up and coming. She has gone through events at the hotels. I
She's an
think
actress.
she's an actress,
She's done
and
a
she's
lot of
actually
work.
done some work through jazz. I think she had been
Yeah.
featured in one of the jazz events. So
Because
she is known
she's-
as well.
Yeah, she's a very strong
Very
combination
strong.
of
She
singer
loves
and
the arts.
actress,
Yes.
and quite a talent, a lot of presence on stage. Again, somebody who is sufficiently adept emotionally to be
Right.
able to navigate the reality of the
reality.
script. She's
Yes.
very comfortable in it. I'm very pleased to see how
Yes.
she's handling the material. Nice combination of actress and singer. Amazing voice, but very open, very honest.
Yes.
What genre of music does she sing? I mean, what's her style? Let's try to relate her to somebody that we know and that we can say, okay, yeah.
In the play or just generally?
Generally.
No, generally.
Generally, I,
I think
think
you're
she's a cover person.
Yes.
She can do a number of
She
things. She
can-
does covers.
Right,
She
very
can do
diverse.
jazz very well. She can do blues very well.
Yes.
And because she's come out of a tradition of theater, she's highly adaptable. She's singing "Strange Fruit" in what's one of
Yes,
Billie
which is
Holiday's
Billie
songs
Holiday, yes.
about lynching in the South.
Yes.
And she does it extremely well, and she goes there. She absolutely goes there because she knows how to travel creatively into that inner space.
Okay.
And
Um,
Darlene
Darlene
Anios
is a
also a
voice
teacher.
coach.
She's a voice
Yeah,
coach.
voice coach. She worked with Blaise Pascal
Yes.
Oh,
in
really?
Justice,
Yes.
yes, for a long time before his untimely death. And she's a
She's
teacher
a
in
teacher
her
at
full
St.
life.
Mary's
She's done some
College.
theater
Yes.
and an amazing
and a foreign
voice.
language, yes.
Yes.
Teacher as well. She has an amazing voice as well. Every girl or every one of the ladies have a uniqueness to their voices.
So we said
So there've
Just
been
Deanna-
two so far. Deanna Phillip.
we said Deanna is doing a Billie Holiday. What is Darlene doing?
Well, actually, you mean as far as how you define her voice right now? Darlene, I'll probably be. She loves opera. She loves opera. She did a little rendition that I heard, and she has a really great opera voice. I don't think.
Yeah. In the play, all of the girls are
yes.
doing different styles of music.
Yes.
It's not
Okay.
like one
Very
girl does
general.
Billy and
Okay.
one girl does
Yes.
Aretha. Certainly, there are leads in each
Yes.
case,
All
but
right.
the music is shared fairly
Yes.
equally
Among
among
the
the
four.
singers. Yes.
So that's Darlene Anyos, and then you have Jasmara Nelson, who's a newcomer to the stage. She works at Sanders Grand. She is an events
Sanders
coordinator.
Latop, Sanders Regency, yeah.
Sorry, yes. And she's an events coordinator there. She began singing at a very early age. Started through church because she was raised in the church, and slowly but surely she found her way through the community, entertaining, going to weddings and so on. And then this production came up, and I guess she was approached. And if you see her, she's a very, very tiny little person, but the voice that comes out of her is
a big
grand.
voice.
Is a big voice. She's evolved over time from the rehearsals.
Absolutely.
She's maturing. It will become. It's. You have to be honest. It's challenging for her because now she has to do acting and singing. When you have a mic before you and you are doing what's just strictly singing on the stage, that's okay.
You can hide behind
You
the
can,
mic,
yes.
but
Right.
But now
but-
you have to combine the two. You have to interact. You have to remember your scripts, and you have to sing. So she is appreciative of the opportunity. Every one of the girls are putting their best foot forward to make sure that the show is a great one. Yes.
So we have Claudia Edward, we have Darlene Anius, Deanna Phillip, and Jesmara Nelson.
Yes.
Okay, so
correct.
those are the girls that we expecting the
Yes,
ladies of the hour.
Ladies of the hour. Well, hour and a half.
Wonderful. So Lucia, this is the opportunity for you to ring us up, give us a call. Ask any questions that you want to ask of the panel. The number to call is 451-9788, or you can send me your WhatsApp messages at 284-6536, or your emails at laurajapierre@gmail.com. Again, the number to call is 451-9788, and the WhatsApp number is 284-6536. Remind us again when when the women's songbook is going to be put on, when it's
A
going to be
woman's
aired.
songbook will be launched on Friday the 13th.
which is easy to remember.
Which is easy.
Friday the
Yes, just
13th.
think of it, Friday the 13th. Don't put too much meaning behind that, but it just fell right there.
Just hold a minute. We have our first call. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, good evening, Laura.
Hi, good evening.
Not to sideline your guest, but St. Jude's has really been a festering sore, I would say, in the hearts, in the minds of St. Lucians, especially those of the South, people like myself. And I don't know if it is, again, sorry to not engage your guest, but I'm not too sure if it is what you showed or maybe the dynamics of it all. But maybe you can account to personally being there, but I believe myself and many St. Lucians looking at the pictures that have been shown and what you showed there tonight, I am not seeing the big deal into why that hospital cannot be opened. To me, the most important part of a hospital is the emergency section. And in a larger hospital, as St. Jude's and Victoria and Owen King, it will also be the ICU unit. That is one of the most important, that is the critical part of that hospital. And if St. Jude's is at a point whereby there is no part of the building whatsoever that can house an emergency area, they should simply just build a ward for the emergency area. But to tell me that you want to build a new hospital, to tell me after putting so much investment, after putting so much people of St. Lucian's money, after putting so much investment, foreign investment, people who are living in the diaspora, who send money down to open that hospital, and to tell me today that it is still in that condition, that nothing is being done, that, 5 years passed, and it's every year. It will be open next year. It will be open next year. It will be open next year. This thing is sickening us, the people
But
of the South.
let me just put some things in perspective. There are walls at St. Jude right now that are in awkward positions that need to be broken down, and they cannot be broken down. So you have to kind of build around it, and you're creating corners where there are lots of dead spaces. It is so. When I do the 90-minute show, I hope that you watch and for you to get a perspective, a clearer understanding of what it is. Even as it is right now, I remember there was a documentary that was aired, and the contractor was talking about walls being broken down. So today they tell them build a wall, and they would have to break it down the next day, and there are still walls in there today that still need to be broken down, because I don't know what they were thinking. Well, the thinking is that there wasn't somebody who truly understood how to build hospitals and what is needed in the hospitals.
I wouldn't say
Also,
they didn't.
they didn't understand. No, they didn't understand. Honestly, take my word for it. They didn't understand. And also because they tried to build on a 1945 footprint. So you have something that worked in 1945.
All right.
Just imagine in 2018, somebody would come to tell you, and you should live your life as those persons who lived
But
in
Laura, apparently
1945.
it also worked in 2010. Before the hospital burnt, it
But-
also worked in 2009.
No, but that's the thing. Before the hospital burnt, you had a structure. But the structure that is right now is not the same structure at all. So you're using the same footprint and you're wanting to add things, but you have to work around the things that exist already. And that's what's making it horrendous. As I said, the one wing that actually made much sense, and that's not just coming from me, but those doctors who were with us today were saying that that's the one wing that made any sense was the wing that burns down.
That burnt.
The wing that burned down, that they put some thought into it. They said, okay, we have to rebuild this, and they put some thought into it. That wing makes sense. But the rest of it, that was not in the part of the plan at all, where they just said, oh, I need this. Let me put this. And oh, why don't we put that? Let's put that, and they just put things.
So
That's what's not
these
working.
rooms. They can't use it for laundry or for
But
cooking or for anything else or for keeping children.
there is a laundry room, there is the kitchen, there's the cafeteria, but it's everything else that works around. And I don't want to go too much into it because
But I feel somebody really needs to go down to it, because maybe you'd have to do a segment whereby you can actually bring
absolutely,
people. Because it's
absolutely.
ridiculous. This
Absolutely.
is unacceptable.
Absolutely.
In no other country this would be acceptable.
However, I must say, what's at the hospitalium is not better than what exists at St. Jude.
Exactly.
At the site.
So how could they work in that condition?
However, it's not going to be complete in 6 months. It's not going to be complete in 1 year. It's not going to be complete in 2. There is so much work still left to be done. There is so much work that's still left to be
If a plane
done.
has to crash at Beaufort International tomorrow, what would we be telling those people who would be swarming St. Lucia saying, what the heck is going on here? What would we be telling those people? What
Absolutely.
would we be telling those people if there's an accident in Beaufort, multiple vehicles? What would we tell those families?
And the thing about it,
government,
Colin,
as a people, tell those people? It is 10 years that we have a facility and we cannot open it.
but we don't have a facility.
We have another one.
We
that
don't
was
have a
given to
facility.
us and we cannot open it. So where are we as a country?
But this is the thing. We do not have a facility. What we have is a shell. We do not have a facility. A facility is one that is complete, and all you're waiting to do is to put the equipment. We do not have a facility. There are walls, structures, and then there are still walls that need to be broken down in the structure that is
We
there is.
literally built a prison in Denver before we could renovate a hospital. This tells us the magnitude of the sort of people we have in this country, the governance we have in this country. A prison was built before a renovation of a hospital.
And but my question now is, of the successive governments that we've had, I didn't remember hearing any portion of the budget set aside for maintenance and upkeep of the hospitalium. And even if it were a stadium as it was meant to be, where is the funds allocated for the upkeep and the maintenance of that? So at least the hospitalium would not necessarily be a structure that is a disaster waiting to happen because you have the roofing flying off and whatever. But anyway, as I said, we have a 90-minute program coming up sometime soon where we're going to be delving into that. But thank you so much for your call. And I understand your angst because I feel it too. I'm from the South.
It's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
It is frustrating and
Really
upsetting.
frustrating.
Thank you so much for calling. So, before we went into the hospitalium, you were telling us we have a call. You have another call online?
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Laura,
Yes.
how do you determine how long it will take to finish the hospital?
Based
Are
on,
you, are
on
you,
I am
are you,
not, no, I am not a contractor, I am not an architect, I'm none of those things. I'm just somebody who has been exposed, and what I see there, based on the number of walls that still need to be broken down, based on the number of I don't knows that were so said to us, I don't see it happening. I don't see it
because
happening because we all know, even in a building of a regular house, the finishings take the most work. So everybody says, "Oh, it's just the finishings, the finishings." The
but
finishings
you,
could take anywhere from, and it's the
but
size of the hospital.
you said it will not take 6 months.
It wouldn't.
It will not take a year.
No,
It will not take 2 years.
no.
But my question: how will you determine? You're not a contractor. You're not an architect. You're not an engineer. How you determine that?
Because of what I saw.
Well,
Because of
see,
what I saw and my exposure, and I know.
You cannot determine that because you're none of the above.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But that is my whole premise. A lot of we try to excuse
Yes.
things, even when things I couldn't tell you the technical know-hows of contracting or whatever, but I know what I saw, and I know that there's so much work that needs to be done that it's impossible. We have not even begun to recommence work. So how could it be done in 6 months? We have another call online. Thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Yes, good night, Miss Laura.
Good night, dear.
And also good night to your guest.
Thank you.
Although I'm not really talking on what they're advertising rather, but rather on the St. Jude's
We should just
issue.
switch
We
up.
should switch.
Yes.
We really want to focus on that because I do have, and I said at the top of the show, that I will be focusing, I will be coming to St. Jude's holistically and having an entire show dedicated to that. So
Yeah, well, I mean, to your guest, Mr. Adrian Oje is somebody which I always admire his integrity and also the way that he has been doing. I mean, when you look, he's somebody who is a very optimistic person, and he is somebody he always put his best to whatever he is doing. Even I watch him in the upper house as an independent senator, and then his contribution is always one to stand up.
Thank you.
Also to the lady, I'm not sure if it's his wife or whatever, but then
Not yet.
okay, well, because to that effect, I heard Mr. Ross said something about Mr. Adrian and whatever, but I'm not sure. But you see, the St. Jude issue, Mr. Laura, our government, be it yellow or red, they all have to take responsibility.
absolutely.
Now, I am sick and tired of those politicians playing football with the minds of the nation. Yellow is blaming red, and red is blaming yellow. And then you have some talk shows who come, it's like they are like defenders, and like they defend whichever party which they feel sometimes they support. I say this to say, St. Jude is a national issue. It's a country issue. The United Workers' Party government with the government who started the hospital. Today, when I watched him in the house, in the lower house, the ministers, especially the Minister for Urban Renewal and Economics, and this same Mr. Guy Joseph, when he speaks like he's a man who just came from the United States. He knows nothing about St. Jude. St. Jude started on the dam. Why don't they tell the nation that they started it? If it did not have a proper plan, a plan drawn out, it started with them. Labour Party came, they started trying to upgrade it. I am listening to you tonight. It's heartbreaking to hear you say, and I saw some of the pics that you put, the different places that you went standing. It is true. But I believe it's high time the government stop playing football. The time is coming. I want to let politicians know this very well. And whoever might be listening, I want them to know the time is fast approaching that the nation's eyes are being opened. And the time is coming that politicians will be held accountable and responsible wholly and solely. Because for too long, we have the blame game of red and yellow. We are sick and tired of this thing. When I watch these men in parliament, hence is why I cannot call them honorable, because they are not honorable. They behave like little boys. They fight. They quarrel. When the opposition is making a point, the government side is interjecting and being disrespectful and trying to get you off what you're trying to say. When the government side is making a point, the opposition does the same. We are sick of this thing. We want a new brand of politics in St. Lucia. And that is what I'm fighting for, and we are going to get it. God bless you and your show.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you for calling and thank you
Well
for
said.
sharing. But it's true. I mean,
Very
we
true.
have to hold those responsible accountable. And with the investigations, I welcome it. But when I first heard it, I did not welcome it because I said that's another $1 million, $2 million, $3 million that's going to go down the drain, and nothing is going to come out of it. However, I welcome it because you see this nonsense that's going on. Somebody has to be held accountable, and if we have those investigations going on and we do whatever we have to do and the results come out and nobody's held accountable, those persons who commission the investigations will have to to be held accountable, because you cannot be spending the monies of the people of the nation, saying that we're already bereft of monies. The coffers are empty, so to speak. You're going to find the monies to spend on an investigation and do nothing about it. When
That has been the pattern over and over and over again.
and that's the thing, that's the thing, because we spend
So
money.
what changes now?
Just spend money. I'm listening to Guy Joseph saying about $3 million was spent to investigate him and nothing, and we almost don't count. You would think after you spend 1 million, you didn't get anything. What makes you think after spending 2 and 3 million that you're going to find something? And what gave you the inclination that something is going to happen? You needed to find something.
Yes.
You know, it's always about getting somebody. It's sickening. Meanwhile, our health, which is supposed to be our wealth, we're paying no attention to it.
Yes, exactly.
But the,
you know?
the investigations are never done to really find clarity or truth or justice. They're not. Let's be honest. They're not. That's not why they're done.
And we talked about
Yes,
honesty
yes.
They're
earlier.
done to score cheap political points. And they're done to have evidence to hold again over people's heads, which is not going to go to
Go
criminal.
anywhere,
Yes.
because at the
Criminal
end of the
trial.
day we have this, but I'm going to manage you with it.
Yes.
So if you step out of line, I'm going to
Going to-
threaten you with the
Exactly.
use of it, but you will know that they're not
It's
going
like
to use
No,
it.
they
it's
won't use
actually
it.
the parallel is the nuclear arms race. If I have a missile and you have a missile, none of us is going to use it.
Right.
Yes. That is
And
so
that's
true.
it.
Yeah. And then we're the ones getting the shaft, the
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
because
we're the people of South Korea.
Boy.
we're getting the shaft because we're not going to talk about it. We're so busy defending
Yes.
the perpetrators of this travesty
Yes.
that we're not realizing the only people that
That's
get
gonna be
hurt and left
affected is
behind at the end of the
the
day
citizenship.
is us. Anyway, time is running out on us. Let's go back to a woman's songbook.
Yes.
We're going to be at the Sandals Grand.
Palladium on Friday the 13th from 8 p.m. Cocktails, production,
Red carpet gala.
of course, event. You'll have welcome drinks. You'll have a photo opportunity as well.
Heineken Light.
Before
Chimay
Heineken Light,
Wines,
yes.
Senator Distillers.
Yes,
WLBL.
yes.
Oh, okay.
All of
Okay.
the-
Listen.
And of course,
I
Landmark
forgot to
Effects.
mention earlier, this is my anniversary month, right?
Yes.
This is the month that I came into broadcasting
Yes.
3 years ago. Are we going to give our viewers something, at least a person to come to see a woman's songbook?
Actually, we can
We
do
can
that.
give away a ticket
Yes,
right
we
now.
can.
Absolutely.
Let's Adrian,
definitely.
ask a question. Let's quickly put it in there.
Yes.
Name at least 2 of the 4 characters in the play.
Yep. Just name
That's
2
it.
of 4. We just named them a
Yes.
little while ago.
Yes, we did.
And if you don't call and you don't get this, I'm going to keep the ticket. So you don't want me to,
Oh,
this is supposed to be
wow.
for you guys. So you come on and give us a call. We're running out of time. So we have a call online. Thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good night.
It's not going to be about it.
Good night.
Yes, good night.
I can well hear you.
I can hear you very
Oh, you
clearly.
could hear me clearly?
Yes, I can even hear your dog barking in the background.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Are you calling to get the ticket to a
But let
woman's
me tell you,
songbook?
good night to the officer there. Good night to all of you. What I'm saying is, I heard you spoke about St. Jude. Well, that's where I am for the longest while. I born there, but I'm there for quite a long time. And to tell you the truth, I'm not so, don't be just, I'm not so pleased with the way you disqualify the work that is being done there. Because
the way I
from the time
disqualify
it's burned
what?
and before it was burned, I know it, and after they rebuild it, I know it. And now I'm hearing you giving a very, very negative point of it, and I'm not pleased with that at all, because I don't know how come people in this country, they like when something has been done and it's almost completed, then you get a certain amount of people come in and say, oh, this is not good, that is not good. But none of them did not come at the starting to say, oh, that's something you have, or let me see the plan you all have, or let me see this, so that I can disqualify some point of it. Is after all money has been spent, after it's on the way to finish, then you get so many people disqualifying it and calling
Well,
out.
we're running. So hold on. We're running out of time, and really, this little piece, this segment here, was really for the guests that I have on, and we're trying to do something here. But if you're doing something, let me just put it in perspective for you. If you are doing something and nobody comes and say, okay, this is what I'm doing, and they keep telling you it's almost done, and 3 years on it's almost done, and it never got completed, at what point did you have a chance to, like you say, disqualify it or say, no, that's not good? Remember, when the hospital burned down, it didn't burn down in its entirety. One wing of the hospital burned down, and that was the wing that was originally being rebuilt. Hold on. This is the wing that was originally being rebuilt. So then when you added all of those other things, and you didn't come to the people and say, this is what we're going to do, this is the plan, but you keep adding things, and you keep telling the people, yes, it's coming on, yes, it's coming on, yes, it's coming on, it's almost done.
No, well, I want to get rid of you now. You see, you want to hear what I'm saying?
Not at all, not at all. Not at all. But listen.
You have, I don't know, people have to look onto things that are not started yet. People have to look onto things that are not in progress yet. It's not when the thing has reached to that distance. I am living right by the hospital. The hospital is looking so nice. So many work has been done. So many money has been done. Why disqualifying it right? That is nothing for everybody to shut up and see that the doors are open for everybody to enter in. That's not the time you're closing the doors now. You're closing the doors after so much expenditure. Now you come in and close that entire hospital with this kind of, sorry for that, I listen to you every time. Whenever you go, I listen to the program, I like your program. But when I don't like something of you, I tell you straight, I don't like something of you. And when you don't like of me, you have to tell me straight, man, look what you something I don't like of you. But there's no vexing that. But people fail to understand. Stand up when it is not finished. Don't stand up when it is already completed. Now look at how nice all of us, we like to see the hospital, we like to see the building, we like to see all the work that has been done. We applaud that. Now you hear some other coming and say, oh, this is not good. The rooms are too small. There's no room for a chair. There's no room for that. There's no... No. This is not good. Making people that contribute their money, making people that put
we're out of
looking
time.
at nothing,
Yes.
as if we spend for something that's not valuable.
Okay.
You making look at ourselves. You be licking us now.
Okay, thank you so much. We're out of time. We're out of time. We're out of time. Thank you so much for your call, and I didn't want to rush him off the air. I have a lot of time for the callers, but we're really out of time, and we really wanted to. That last 5 minutes that we had, we wanted to give back, to the viewers who, to come out and experience a woman's songbook. But just to say that sometimes something looks nice on the outside, and it's exactly what we're talking about, the woman's songbook. The women in this play, they all look well adjusted on the
Yes.
outside, but it's what's on the inside that really
Right.
counts. It's what
Exactly.
the demons that they're battling is what really counts. And this is exactly what he couldn't have put it more
Any better,
succinctly
yes,
if he
exactly.
had tried.
Exactly.
It looks lovely on the outside. Well,
Yes.
not so lovely, but works. It seems the works had been
Yes,
done, and
yes.
it looks wonderful. People were
Yes.
getting work. People were working on the site, and it looked good.
Yes.
Something is happening. But what's on the inside?
Side.
It's
You know,
dysfunctional.
Is
it's
And
dysfunctional.
that brings us back to the play.
Yes,
exactly.
So if
It's
I have
so
to get a final
relatable.
plug, I will say A Woman's Songbook, opening at Sandals on Friday 13th and coming soon to a hospital near
Near
you.
you.
And I'm sorry, St. Lucia, we didn't get a chance to give away a ticket to this A Woman's Songbook, but it is what it is. So listen up for next time, and then we will have something else to give away, and we also will be having, maybe not next week because we have other things coming up this month, but look out for the 90 minutes on St. Jude. It really is going to be something that you need to listen out for. You need to look out. It's not always about what's on the outside. What's on the outside can look fantastic, but what's on the inside, is it functional? Does it meet the requirements to do what it's supposed to do? Not taking away from the hospitalium. It's not working. It's not working. Is what do we have any better? Maybe so, but how long? What's the shelf life of what we're building? Does it make sense to continue? How much would it cost to continue to build the new St. Jude's? Stay tuned. We'll find out.